How many of you think a vasectomy can fail? Here was another crazy story. He says, am I the a-hole for demanding a paternity test and considering divorce after finding out my wife cheated? I, 41 male, have been married to my wife Jeanette. She's 38 for 7 years. We have a 5-year-old daughter, Wendy, who I've always believed was the greatest gift of my life. Now I'm not so sure about anything anymore. Some background. Jeanette and I met in college. We dated for 3 years, broke up on good terms when we graduated, then reconnected 2 years later. By then, I had decided I didn't want children. I've always been honest about this. I had a rough childhood, and the thought of passing on my family's genetic predisposition to certain health issues scared me. So, at 28, 2 years before Jeanette and I got married, I had a vasectomy. Jeanette knew about this from the start. We talked about it extensively before getting engaged. She said she was fine with it, that she loved me more than the idea of having children. We discussed adoption or fostering in the future if we decided we wanted kids. It seemed like we were on the same page. Fast forward to a year into our marriage, Jeanette started feeling sick, tired all the time. I joked that she was pregnant, never thinking it could actually be true. But then she took a test and positive. We were shocked, to say the least. I immediately got tested, and somehow, against all odds, my vasectomy had failed. The doctor said it was rare, but not impossible. Jeanette and I were scared at first, but we decided to embrace it. We did a prenatal paternity test, which confirmed I was the father. Wendy was born, and I fell in love with her instantly. These past 5 years have been the happiest of my life. Well, that's the way it seemed. One day, Nicole came over around noon as usual. It was a Thursday. Jeanette had already mentioned that they'd be ordering in, but when the food delivery was delayed, Jeanette stepped out to grab it herself instead. I was finishing up a Zoom conference call in my home office. So I didn't think much of it when Jeanette left Nicole behind. After all, Nicole had been over 1,000,000 times before. During a lull in my meeting, I overheard Nicole talking on the phone in our guest room. She had the door slightly ajar, but not fully closed. It sounded like she was whispering, but I clearly heard her say, "You can't keep this secret forever." Uh-oh. What about the real father? I immediately thought, who the hell is she talking to? I muted my conference call, straining to hear more. Nicole continued her conversation. I know you're scared, but he deserves to know the truth. It's been years since, Jeanette. You need to tell him. I must have made a noise because Nicole suddenly stopped talking. She came out of the room and saw me standing there, my conference call forgotten. The look on her face said it all. She knew I'd heard everything. I confronted her immediately. Nicole broke down, crying, begging me not to be angry with her. Through her tears, she admitted that Jeanette had cheated on me 6 years ago, just a few months into our marriage. Wow. The affair had lasted a couple of months before Jeanette ended it. I was absolutely stunned. My mind was reeling, trying to process this information. But one thought kept pushing its way to the forefront. Wendy. If Jeanette had cheated around that time, could Wendy be? I demanded more details from Nicole. She revealed that the affair had been with Jeanette's ex-boyfriend, a guy named Danny, who I'd always felt uneasy about. Apparently, he'd come back into town for a few months, and things had rekindled between them. Why didn't you tell me? I asked Nicole. Nicole looked ashamed. Jeanette swore it was over. She said it was a horrible mistake and that she loved you. I didn't want to ruin your marriage. And then Wendy came along. I couldn't bear the thought of tearing your family apart. I was furious. Not just Jeanette, but Nicole too. She'd known about this for years and said nothing. She watched me raise Wendy, knowing there was a chance I wasn't her biological father. I sent Nicole home and waited for Jeanette to return. That hour was the longest of my life. I paced the house, looking at photos of our family, of Wendy. I always thought she had my eyes, my smile. Now, I wondered if I'd just been seeing what I wanted to see. When Jeanette got home, I confronted her immediately. She denied everything at first, trying to gaslight me into thinking I misunderstood Nicole's conversation. But when I told her exactly what Nicole had revealed, she crumbled. Jeanette admitted to the affair, sobbing and begging for forgiveness. She swore it had only happened because she was scared about the sudden change in our lives after getting married. She said Danny had been a safety blanket from her past, but she'd realized quickly that she only wanted me. Safety blanket, what the fuck? Stay with Danny then. I asked a question that had been burning in my mind. Is Wendy mine? Jeanette's face went pale. Of course she is. It has to be you. The vasectomy failed, remember, and we did that paternity test before she was born. But I couldn't shake the doubt. The timing was too convenient. A failed vasectomy right when she was having an affair? It seemed too coincidental. And who's to say she didn't fake the paternity test result somehow? I told Jeanette I wanted another paternity test. She freaked out, saying it would destroy our family and that it didn't matter because I was Wendy's dad. Biology be damned. But it matters to me. I love Wendy with all my heart, but I need to know the truth. I moved into the guest room for now. Jeanette is beside herself, alternating between begging for forgiveness and getting angry at me for not simply trusting her. I wouldn't trust your ass either. You cheated, and you and your friend kept it a secret. She's refusing the paternity test, saying it would be a betrayal of Wendy. Wendy knows something is wrong, but she's too young to understand what's happening. We're trying to keep things normal around her, but kids are perceptive. She's been extra clingy lately, especially with me, as if she senses she might lose me. It breaks my heart. Our families and friends have gotten involved, taking sides in a situation they don't fully understand. My parents and siblings are furious with Jeanette and fully support my decision to demand a paternity test. They're pushing for divorce, saying I shouldn't stay with someone who betrayed me like this. Jeanette's family, on the other hand, is urging me to forgive her. They're calling me an asshole for even considering a paternity test, saying it shows I don't love Wendy unconditionally. Her mother had the gall to tell me that real men don't need biology to be fathers. Yeah, those same real men end up paying $375,000 to raise that child until they're 18, a child possibly not theirs. As if I haven't been a real father to Wendy for the past 5 years. Our friends are divided. Some think I'm overreacting and should just move past this for the sake of our family. Others are firmly on my side, saying Jeanette's betrayal is unforgivable. Nicole is caught in the middle, continuously apologizing for keeping the secret, but also defending her loyalty to Jeanette. I can barely look at her right now. I'm struggling to make a decision. Part of me wants to just forgive Jeanette and move on for Wendy's sake. I love our life together, and the thought of breaking up our family is agonizing. But another part feels like I can't trust Jeanette ever again. The lies, the betrayal, how do you come back from that? Sometimes it's just hard to come back from a spouse that cheated, especially that soon into the marriage. And then there's the question of Wendy's paternity. I love her more than anything in this world. She's my daughter in every way that matters, but I can't shake the need to know the truth. The thought of raising another man's child without knowing it makes me feel physically ill. Yeah, this is a tough one. All in all, the child is innocent in all this, but still possibly another man's kid. At the same time, I'm terrified of losing her if the test shows I'm not her biological father. I've consulted a lawyer to understand my rights. In our state, I would likely still be considered Wendy's legal father regardless of biology because I am on the birth certificate. Yep, that's right. Even if you are not the biological father but on the birth certificate, you are on the hook until a paternity test can clear you, and even then it might be tough. The lawyer also warned me about the potential emotional fallout of a paternity test. If Wendy isn't biologically mine, it could change our relationship, even if I don't want it to. I've started seeing a therapist to help process all of this. Jeanette is in individual counseling too, but she's resistant to couples therapy. She says we need to work things out on our own first, but I'm not sure what that means or if it's even possible. I've considered reaching out to Danny, the ex-boyfriend. Jeanette claims she cut off all contact with him after the affair and that he doesn't know anything about this situation. Part of me wants to confront him to see if his story matches Jeanette's, but another part is afraid of what I might learn. My friends have suggested everything from forgiveness to scorched earth divorce. Some say I should focus on being Wendy's dad, regardless of biology. Others insist I have a right to know the truth, no matter how painful. I'm torn between my love for Wendy and my need for honesty. I don't know if I can stay in this marriage, knowing what Jeanette did, but the thought of not being with Wendy every day is unbearable. So, Reddit, I turn to you. Am I the asshole for demanding a paternity test and considering ending my marriage over this? Or should I try to forgive and move on for the sake of our family? How do I balance my need for truth with Wendy's well-being? Well, infidelity alone is enough for this man to consider ending his marriage. He is well within his right. Wendy, the little girl, is another issue. Edit. Thank you all for your responses. I'm trying to read through them all. To those asking about the vasectomy, yes, I had follow-up tests after the procedure that confirmed it was successful. I also had annual checkups for the first few years, all of which showed zero sperm count. The doctor who did the prenatal paternity test, the one that supposedly confirmed I was the father, said that very rarely vasectomies can heal themselves. At the time, I was too excited about becoming a dad to question it further. Some have asked for more details on the timeline. The affair happened about 8 to 9 months before Jeanette got pregnant. We were having regular sex at the time, which is why she claims the pregnancy could be mine despite the vasectomy. Danny had left town by then, which Jeanette says proves he can't be the father. But I don't know if I can trust anything she says now. Well, yeah, she cheated. That alone is enough to end the marriage. To the people suggesting I just man up and raise Wendy regardless, I have been her father for 5 years. I love her more than life itself. This isn't about not wanting to be her dad. It's about needing to know the truth and feeling betrayed by my wife. Several people have asked about Wendy and how she's coping. Why tell her at this age? She's only 5, if I'm not mistaken. She really wouldn't understand. We're both committed to protecting her as much as possible, regardless of what happens between us. If we do end up separating or divorcing, we'll keep her best interests at heart. To those asking why I believe Jeanette now when she's lied before, I don't. That's why I want the paternity test. I need objective truth, not just her word. A lot of people are suggesting I might have fallen for paternity fraud 5 years ago. I'm looking into whether it's possible to get the records from the prenatal paternity test we did. If Jeanette somehow faked those results, I don't even know how to process that level of deception. To address the legal questions, yes, I've consulted a lawyer. The lawyer advised me to carefully consider my actions moving forward, as they could affect potentially custody arrangements. For those asking about Danny, the ex, no, I haven't contacted him yet. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure if it's a good idea. Jeanette swears he doesn't know anything about this situation. Thank you all for your perspectives. This has been overwhelming, but reading your comments has helped me process things. I'm leaning towards insisting on the paternity test, regardless of the outcome. I need to know the truth to move forward, one way or another. I love Wendy and will always be her dad, but I need to make decisions about my marriage with all the facts. Some of you have asked about my relationship with Wendy and how this might affect it. Honestly, I'm terrified. Wendy is my world. I've been there for every skinned knee, every nightmare, every triumph. The thought of her not being mine biologically doesn't change how I feel about her. But I'm scared it might change how she feels about me if she ever finds out. And part of me is angry. Angry that Jeanette's actions have put me in this position. Angry that I have to question something I thought was certain. A few people have suggested that Jeanette's resistance to the paternity test is proof of guilt. I'm not sure I agree. I think she's genuinely afraid of losing our family, but her fear doesn't outweigh my need for the truth. She's still resistant, but I think she's starting to realize she doesn't have a choice. To those asking about my mental health, it's not great, to be honest. I'm having trouble sleeping, can't focus at work. I've started having panic attacks, something I've never experienced before. My therapist is helping, but this whole situation has really knocked me off balance. I'm trying to stay strong for Wendy, but it's hard. Someone asked about Jeanette's behavior during her pregnancy and after Wendy was born. Looking back, there were no red flags. She was excited, nervous, all the normal things. After Wendy was born, she was a devoted mother. That's part of what makes this so hard to process. If she could lie about something this big, what else might she have lied about? I've been asked if I'm prepared for the possibility that Wendy isn't biologically mine. Honestly, I don't know. I love her so much, and I can't imagine not being her dad. But I also can't pretend that knowing wouldn't change things. I still want to be in her life, but would Jeanette try to push me out? Would Wendy resent me if she found out later in life? There are so many unknowns, and it's terrifying. To those suggesting I might be overreacting, maybe you're right, but this isn't just about the affair. It's about years of lies about the possibility that my entire family life is based on deception. I need to know the truth, even if it hurts. I can't move forward, can't even think about forgiveness until I know what I'm forgiving. Good point. Someone asked what my best case scenario would be. Honestly, that the test shows I'm Wendy's biological father. That somehow, against all odds, my vasectomy really did fail, and Jeanette's affair was just a horrible mistake that didn't result in a child. But even if that's the case, I don't know if I can ever trust Jeanette again. The lie, the years of deception, that's a wound that might never fully heal. I'm terrified of a custody battle, of only seeing Wendy on weekends or holidays. The thought of another man stepping into my role in her life makes me physically ill. But I also know I can't make decisions based on fear. I need to know what's best for Wendy, even if it breaks my heart. I'll update when I have more information. Thank you for your support during this difficult time. Well, this is a tough one. Not for infidelity. He can end the marriage on that alone. But the paternity and the vasectomy, he still can be that child's biological father. That's crazy. Vasectomies can heal themselves. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.